how to make the perfect homemade pizza. Hey there, pizza lovers. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something super exciting and oh so delicious. Now, who doesn't love a good slice of pizza? Whether it's a classic margarita, a loaded meat lovers, or a veggie delight, pizza has a special place in all our hearts and stomachs. But here's a thought. What if you could recreate that pizzeria-quality pizza right in your own kitchen? Imagine the aroma of freshly baked dough wafting through your home, the satisfaction of choosing your own toppings, and the joy of biting into a slice that you crafted yourself. Sounds amazing, right? In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make the perfect homemade pizza from scratch. We'll walk through everything step by step, from making the dough and sauce to assembling and baking your masterpiece. Don't worry if you've never made pizza before. I've got you covered with easy-to-follow instructions and plenty of tips and tricks along the way. So grab your aprons, gather your ingredients, and let's embark on this delicious journey together. Trust me, once you've tried homemade pizza, you'll wonder why you didn't start making it sooner. And hey, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more tasty recipes. Let's get started. All right, first things first, let's gather everything we need. Having all your ingredients and equipment ready makes the cooking process so much smoother. Here's what you'll need. Ingredients for the dough. 3½ cups of all-purpose flour, plus extra for dusting. 1 packet, 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast. 1/2 cups of warm water, about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. 2 tablespoons of olive oil. 2 teaspoons of sugar. 1 teaspoon of salt. Ingredients for the sauce. 1 can 14 ounces of crushed tomatoes. 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. 2 cloves of garlic minced. 1 tablespoon of olive oil. 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. 1 teaspoon of dried basil. Salt and pepper to taste. Toppings. Shredded mozzarella cheese. Pepperoni slices. Sliced bell peppers. Onions, mushrooms. Fresh basil leaves. Equipment needed. Large mixing bowls, measuring cups and spoons, wooden spoon or spatula, clean kitchen towel or plastic wrap, rolling pin, pizza stone or baking sheet, pizza peel, optional but helpful, oven mitts, saucepan, cutting board and knife. Using fresh, high-quality ingredients makes a big difference in flavor. Fresh vegetables, good quality cheese, and aromatic herbs will elevate your pizza to the next level. Also, don't worry if you don't have a pizza stone or peel. You can still make a fantastic pizza with a regular baking sheet. Before we dive in, make sure everything is within reach. Prepping your ingredients ahead of time, like slicing your veggies and grating your cheese, will make the assembly process a breeze. Let's move on to making that perfect pizza dough. Now, let's roll up our sleeves and get into the dough-making process. Making pizza dough from scratch is easier than you might think, and it's incredibly rewarding. Let's get started. Step 1. Activate the yeast. In a large mixing bowl, combine 1/2 cups of warm water with 2 teaspoons of sugar. Give it a quick stir to dissolve the sugar. Then sprinkle the 1 packet of active dry yeast over the water. Let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes until it becomes frothy and bubbly on the surface. This means the yeast is active and ready to go. Step 2. Mix in the flour and salt. Add 2 tablespoons of olive oil to the yeast mixture and stir gently. In a separate bowl, mix 3½ cups of all-purpose flour with 1 teaspoon of salt. Gradually add the flour mixture to the wet ingredients, about 1 cup at a time, stirring consistently with a wooden spoon or spatula. As the dough starts to come together, it will become too thick to stir. That's when you know it's time to get your hands involved. Step 3. Knead the dough. Dust a clean countertop or large cutting board with flour. Transfer the dough onto the floured surface. Begin kneading by pressing the dough with the heels of your hands, folding it over and turning it slightly. Continue kneading for about 8 to 10 minutes until the dough is smooth and elastic. This process develops the gluten, which gives the dough its structure and chewiness. Helpful tips. If the dough is too sticky, sprinkle a little more flour over it. If it's too dry or tough, wet your hands with a bit of water and continue kneading. Step 4. Let the dough rise. Form the dough into a ball and place it in a lightly oiled bowl, turning it to coat all sides with oil. This prevents it from drying out. Cover the bowl with a clean kitchen towel or plastic wrap. Find a warm, draft-free spot in your kitchen and let the dough rise for about 1 to 2 hours or until it has doubled in size. Understanding the process. This rising period is called fermentation. The yeast consumes the sugars in the dough, producing carbon dioxide gas which makes the dough expand. This results in a light and airy crust once baked. Step 5. Punch down and rest. After the dough has risen, gently punch it down to release the excess gas. This prevents large air bubbles in your crust. At this point, you can use the dough immediately or let it rest for another 10 to 15 minutes to relax the gluten, making it easier to shape. Alternative dough options. Gluten-free dough. Substitute the flour with a gluten-free flour blend and add 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum to improve the texture. Whole wheat dough. Replace half of the all-purpose flour with whole wheat flour for a nuttier flavor and heartier texture. Troubleshooting common dough issues. Dough not rising. Ensure your yeast is fresh and that the water wasn't too hot, which can kill the yeast, or too cold, which can slow activation. Dough too sticky. Sprinkle in additional flour, 1 tablespoon at a time until it reaches the desired consistency. Dough too tough or dry. Incorporate a little more water or olive oil and knead until smooth. And there you have it. The foundation of your perfect pizza is complete. Making dough from scratch might take a bit of time, but the end result is so worth it. Up next, we'll prepare a flavorful pizza sauce that will complement your crust beautifully. While our dough is rising, let's turn our attention to making a delicious pizza sauce. A good sauce can make all the difference, and making it from scratch is quick and easy. Let's get saucy. Ingredients needed: 1 can, 14 ounces of crushed tomatoes, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste for richness and thickness, 2 cloves of garlic, minced, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of dried basil, salt and pepper to taste. Optional, a pinch of sugar to balance acidity. Step-by-step guide. Sauté the garlic. In a saucepan over medium heat, warm 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Add the minced garlic and sauté for about 30 seconds to 1 minute until fragrant. Be careful not to burn it. Burnt garlic can taste bitter. Add tomatoes and seasonings. Pour in the crushed tomatoes and tomato paste, stirring to combine. Add 1 teaspoon each of dried oregano and basil. Season with salt and pepper to taste. If the tomatoes are a bit too acidic, add a pinch of sugar to balance the flavors. Simmer the sauce. Reduce the heat to low and let the sauce simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. This allows the flavors to meld together and the sauce to thicken slightly. Stir occasionally to prevent sticking. Alternative sauces. Pesto sauce. For a fresh herbaceous twist, blend fresh basil, pine nuts, garlic, Parmesan cheese, and olive oil until smooth. White garlic sauce. Melt butter in a saucepan. Add minced garlic, stir in heavy cream and Parmesan cheese, and cook until slightly thickened, storing leftover sauce. If you have extra sauce, let it cool completely. Store it in an airtight container in the refrigerator for up to 1 week, or freeze it for up to 3 months. It's great for future pizzas or as a pasta sauce. And just like that, your homemade pizza sauce is ready. Now let's bring everything together and assemble our pizza. This is where the fun really begins. It's time to assemble your pizza and get creative with toppings. Let's make your pizza vision come to life. Step 1. Preheat the oven. Preheat your oven to 500 degrees or as high as it will go. If you're using a pizza stone, place it in the oven while it's preheating. This ensures the stone is blazing hot, which helps achieve a crispy crust. Step 2. Prepare the dough. After the dough has risen and rested, transfer it to a floured surface. For a standard-size pizza, divide the dough in half. This recipe makes 2 pizzas. Use a rolling pin or your hands to stretch and flatten the dough into a round shape, about 1/4 inch thick. Tips for rolling out dough. Work from the center outward. If the dough springs back, let it rest for a few more minutes. Dust with flour as needed to prevent sticking. Step 3. Transfer to baking surface. If using a pizza peel, sprinkle it with cornmeal or flour to prevent sticking. Place the rolled out dough onto the peel. If you're using a baking sheet or pizza pan, lightly oil it or line it with parchment paper before placing the dough on it. Step 4. Add the sauce. Spread a generous amount of your homemade pizza sauce over the dough, leaving about a 1/2 inch border around the edge for the crust. Use the back of a spoon or a ladle to distribute the sauce evenly. Step 5. Add cheese and toppings. Now for the toppings. Sprinkle a layer of shredded mozzarella cheese over the sauce. Then, add your favorite toppings. Here's where you can get creative. Pepperoni, classic and always a hit cheese, bell peppers, onions, mushrooms, olives, you name it. Herbs, fresh basil leaves add a lovely aroma and flavor after baking. Assembling tips: avoid overloading the pizza to prevent a soggy crust. Distribute toppings evenly for consistent bites. Consider the cooking times of your toppings. Thinly slice raw vegetables so they cook through. Step 6. Final touches. Drizzle a little olive oil over the top and sprinkle with a pinch of dried oregano or red pepper flakes if desired. And there you have it. Your pizza is assembled and ready for the oven. Let's move on to baking this beauty. Time to bake your pizza and transform it into a golden, bubbly masterpiece. This step is crucial for achieving that perfect crust and melty cheese. Let's go. Step 1. Baking with a pizza stone. If you're using a pizza stone, carefully slide your pizza from the peel onto the preheated stone in the oven. The hot stone helps cook the crust evenly and quickly, resulting in a crispy exterior and soft interior. Step 2. Baking on a baking sheet. If you're using a baking sheet or pizza pan, place it directly on the middle rack of your preheated oven. Step 3. Bake the pizza. Bake for 10 to 15 minutes. Keep an eye on your pizza as baking times can vary depending on your oven and the thickness of your crust. Indicators of doneness. Crust, golden brown and crisp on the bottom. Cheese, melted and bubbly with slight browning. Toppings, cooked through and lightly charred at the edges. Step 4. Rotate for even baking. About halfway through the baking time, use oven mitts to carefully rotate the pizza 180 degrees. This ensures even cooking, especially if your oven has hot spots. Step 5. Safety precautions. Always use oven mitts when handling hot equipment. Be cautious of hot steam when opening the oven door. Keep children and pets away from the oven while in use. Step 6. Optional broiling. If the crust is done but you want a more browned, bubbly top, switch your oven to broil for the last 1 to 2 minutes. Watch closely to prevent burning. Step 7. Remove and cool. Carefully remove the pizza from the oven using your peel or oven mitts and place it on a heat-resistant surface. It smells incredible, doesn't it? Let the pizza cool for a minute or two before slicing. This allows the cheese to set slightly and makes for cleaner cuts. Your homemade pizza is now baked to perfection. Next up, let's talk about serving suggestions to enhance your pizza experience. Congratulations, your pizza is ready to enjoy. Before you take that first delicious bite, here are some tips to make your meal even better. Let it rest. Allow your pizza to rest for a couple of minutes. This helps the cheese set and makes slicing easier. Slicing the pizza. Use a sharp pizza cutter or a large knife. For traditional slices, cut the pizza into 6 to 8 wedges. For party-sized portions, cut the pizza into squares or rectangles. Presentation ideas. Garnish with fresh basil leaves or a sprinkle of grated Parmesan cheese. Drizzle with a bit of extra virgin olive oil or balsamic glaze for added flavor. Serve on a wooden pizza board or a colorful platter to make it Instagram-worthy. Pairing suggestions. Side salads. A crisp Caesar salad or a simple green salad complements the pizza nicely. Beverages. Pair with a chilled soda, a glass of wine, or your favorite beer. Appetizers. Garlic bread, bruschetta, or mozzarella sticks make great starters. Storing leftovers. If you have any leftovers, store slices in an airtight container in the refrigerator for up to 3 days. Reheating tips. Oven. Preheat to 375 degrees 190. Place slices on a baking sheet and heat for about 5 to 7 minutes. Skillet. Heat a nonstick skillet over medium heat. Place the slice in, cover with a lid, and cook for a few minutes until the cheese is melty and the crust is crisp. Now all that's left is to dig in and enjoy your homemade pizza creation. Bon appétit! Even seasoned cooks face challenges in the kitchen. Here are solutions to some common pizza-making issues. Burnt crust or undercooked center. Solution: lower the oven temperature by 25 degrees Fahrenheit and bake a bit longer. Ensure your oven rack is in the middle position. Soggy crust. Solution: preheat your pizza stone or baking sheet to ensure the crust starts cooking immediately. Avoid overly wet toppings and don't overload on sauce. Toppings burning. Solution: add delicate toppings like fresh herbs or thinly sliced veggies halfway through baking or after baking. Dough not rising. Solution: verify that your yeast is active. Ensure the water temperature is warm, not hot, and that the dough is left to rise in a warm, draft-free environment. Overly salty or bland flavor. Solution: taste your sauce and dough before assembly and adjust the seasoning accordingly. Remember, you can always add seasoning but can't take it away. Adjusting for high altitude. Solution: reduce the yeast slightly and increase the rise time. You might also need to adjust the amount of flour and water. Remember, practice makes perfect. Don't be discouraged by minor setbacks. They're all part of the learning process. Keep experimenting and you'll be a pizza pro in no time. And there you have it, the perfect homemade pizza made entirely from scratch. Thank you for joining me on this culinary adventure. Making pizza at home is not only fun, but also a fantastic way to customize flavors to your liking. I hope you feel inspired to get creative with different toppings and sauces. If you tried this recipe, I'd love to hear how it turned out. Drop a comment below and share your pizza pics. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more delicious recipes and cooking tips. Until next time, happy cooking and enjoy every slice.